Michael was a man who lived by the sweat of his brow. He rose before dawn, worked late into the night, and never made excuses. He wasn't wealthy, but he carried himself with pride, purpose, and a deep love for his family. His life took a turn when he met Emily, a radiant woman full of dreams and charm. They fell in love, got married, and for a while, their days were filled with joy. Michael believed that with hard work, they could build a bright future together. Then came their two children, a boy and a girl, bringing new happiness and heavier responsibilities. Michael poured himself into his work, but Emily began to change. At first, it was small complaints about money or the things they lacked. Over time, her dissatisfaction grew sharper. She constantly compared Michael to her best friend's wealthy partner, a man who lived extravagantly and showered her friend with lavish gifts. No one knew the dark truth, that his fortune came from shady deals, trading peace for fleeting riches. Michael tried to keep Emily happy. When she wanted a car, he emptied his savings to buy a used one, clean, reliable, a symbol of his love. But Emily only glanced at it and scoffed. "Even my friend's driver has a better one," she said. Her words grew harsher, her mockery more cutting. After 5 years of marriage, Emily walked away. She didn't just leave Michael, she abandoned their children too. She filed for divorce without a second thought, packed her bags, and vanished like a wisp of smoke. Michael sank into silence. The end of his marriage wasn't just a loss, it was the shattering of a dream he'd held for their family. But he couldn't afford to break. His kids needed him. He became both father and mother, working double shifts, cooking meals, cleaning the house, reading bedtime stories, and showing up for school events. Life was tough, but he kept moving forward, driven by love for his children. 2 years later, a light appeared. Michael met Sarah, a woman unlike any other. She was kind, grounded, hardworking, and deeply rooted in faith. She didn't care about his bank account. She saw his heart. With her, Michael found peace again. They married, and from that moment, his life began to shift. Opportunities seemed to come out of nowhere. Doors that had been locked for years swung open. His investments paid off. His business ideas took flight. By the time he turned 40, Michael wasn't just surviving, he was thriving, running an international company that touched lives across the globe. One sweltering afternoon, Michael stepped out of his towering office building and saw a familiar figure, Emily, sitting by the roadside, selling oranges under the blistering sun. Her clothes were worn, her face weary, her eyes heavy with shame. When she recognized him, she tried to flee, but Michael called her back. He looked at the woman who had once broken him and asked softly, "Why are you here? Why are you still struggling?" Emily lowered her head, her voice trembling. She explained that after leaving Michael, she thought she'd find a better life. She moved in with her best friend, the one who always flaunted her wealth. At first, things seemed promising. Her friend gave her money, helped her find a job, introduced her to new circles. But soon, Emily uncovered the grim truth, that wealth came from dark rituals, deals that cost far more than money. When she refused to take part, she became a liability. Her friend betrayed her, framing her in a failed business deal. Emily lost everything, her job, her savings, her reputation. Her name became a whisper, tainted like a curse. With nowhere else to go, Emily returned to her hometown. There, she met David, a school security guard. He was kind, humble, and loved her despite her past. They married, but life was hard. Money was scarce, opportunities rare. Though David never blamed her, Emily carried the weight of her regrets every day. She whispered, "I thought I was choosing a better path, but I lost everything. My kids, my pride, my future." Michael listened quietly. Each word stirred memories of the nights he cried alone, the days he doubted himself. But he felt no anger. He knew what it was like to be crushed by life. He looked at Emily and said, "You don't owe me an apology. You owe one to yourself." Then he stood, brushed off his suit, and walked back into his building, leaving her with silence and a chance to reflect. The image of Emily under that scorching sun lingered in Michael's mind. It wasn't pity he felt, but a deeper understanding. He remembered hitting rock bottom, but also how he rose, not out of spite, but for himself and his kids. One morning he made a quiet decision. Without telling anyone, not even Sarah, he went to the market where Emily now sold her oranges. She looked even more worn, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. She tried to hide when she saw him, but Michael approached gently. They sat on a small bench amid the market's chaos. Michael handed her an envelope. Inside was a job offer, not charity, not pity, but a real opportunity. He had created a position at his company, complete with training, support, and a fair wage. "I'm not doing this because of the past," he said. "I'm doing this because I believe in second chances. I know what it's like to be broken, and I know how hard it is to rebuild. You can't choose what happens to you, but you can choose who you become." Emily's eyes filled with tears. Michael's kindness cracked the walls of shame she'd built around herself. She accepted the offer, and from that day, her life began to change. She worked hard, stayed humble, and slowly rebuilt herself. She reconnected with her children, earning their trust bit by bit, becoming a mother her daughter could admire again. David, her steadfast husband, stood by her side, and together they carved out a simple but meaningful life. Michael continued to rise, not just in wealth but in wisdom. He learned that true strength isn't found in vengeance, but in rising above. Choosing kindness in the face of bitterness is the ultimate proof of resilience. Michael's story teaches us that the best response to pain is not retaliation, but compassion. Overcoming old wounds doesn't weaken you, it shows your true strength. Emily lost everything because of her choices, but when given a chance to rebuild, she seized it. This story reminds us that people can grow, heal, and change when offered mercy and a fair shot. Success means little without peace and purpose. Michael didn't just build a company, he built a life rooted in values, family, and faith. At the top, he didn't look down on others, he lifted them up. If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts. What part moved you the most? Pass this story on to someone who needs a spark of hope in their darkness. Thank you for reading. Until the next story.